Friends, today is Tuesday, the 11th of August. It's early in the morning, and once again, a beautiful day, light coming through from the east. And our gospel today is about children. And I mean that in kind of a literal fashion, not a kind of symbolic, the vulnerable, those who are not noticed, not seen, not this and that. But let's just talk about children and the importance of our taking care of children. And the gospel begins with a question. The disciples approached Jesus and said, "Who is the greatest in the kingdom?" And Jesus pulls out a little child. Kind of surprising. Disciples were actually thinking he would say Peter. Peter has been the focus of many of the stories recently in the Gospel of Matthew, and Jesus surprises them with a child. It reminds me of a story that Bishop Barron talks about in one of his many sermons or homilies or writings or books or whatever, and it's about the early ministry of Mother Teresa. And when she was just a young nun, new in the convent, in Albania, she helped at a school, and she also helped at a small clinic kind of next to the convent, a little hospital, not quite a hospital, a clinic of some sort. And she was there one day when a man comes in, and he's holding a bundle. It looks like a blanket with some twigs sticking out of it. And Mother Teresa is there, and she asks, "Well, what can we do for you?" And the man hands her that bundle, and she sees that the twigs are actually the emaciated little limbs of a child, a little boy. And the man said, "Take him, or I'll throw him to the jackals. Take him, or I'll throw him to the jackals." And Mother Teresa took that bundle, a little boy, hugged him and said, "You have a new mother," and took him in. Moving story, but one that probably is repeated over and over in so many places. Children left, abandoned, abused, not taken care of, given no future. And reflecting on the reading today, who is the greatest in the kingdom? And Jesus points out this child. I guess I've never really taken it in just a literal sense of taking care of children. The first part of the gospel is basically children are an example of humility. They don't have any status, and this is the way all of us need to be in the kingdom, not lording it over. But the second part is, see that you do not despise one of these little ones. In other words, see that you do not let them be abused, starved, emaciated, left to just whatever. They have absolutely no power to take care of themselves, so others must take care of them. I remember kind of three things in my early priesthood in which I became aware of the need of children for adults to look after them. And the first was, I grew up in the Beaverton area, and in Beaverton is something called St. Mary's Home for Boys. My parents used to threaten me to send me to the Home for Boys when I misbehaved. And so I didn't really think too much, except kind of fearful I might end up there at some point. I didn't really know what it was. But once I was ordained, I knew the director of the boys' home, and he invited me out just to visit, take a look, see the work that they do there. And he introduced me to just a couple of kids. Maybe they were in their second or third or fourth grade. Normal little children, kind of lively, excited to meet someone, a stranger, something different in their day. And afterwards, the director gave me an account of their background, who they are and how they came to the boys' home. horrific backgrounds of abuse, sexual abuse, physical abuse, emotional abuse, to the point that the state had to step in and took them and put them into the boys' home, where they at least received care and love. Even though it was an institution, people there obviously cared for the children and did what they could for them. A reminder of the need of so many children who need this care. And the second example, early in my priesthood as well, was I was living at All Saints at the time, near Providence Hospital. And attached to Providence is the Providence Center for Medically Fragile Children. And I had the opportunity to visit there and to see the work that they were doing. And it was remarkable. I thought it would be a very depressing place, medically fragile children, most of whom will live there for most of their early years, 24-hour care that was needed. Children that perhaps at other times would have, as that first story with Mother Teresa, been sent to the jackals. But here they were cared for and loved. And far from being depressing, I found it a very warm and lively and loving place, and the children seemed very happy. And finally, a third example, when I was a seminarian at Mount Angel, one of the apostolates we had was McLaren, called McLaren School for Boys, kind of a reform school in Woodburn. And we would meet with the students there and do a little Bible study or something. And I got to know a couple of the young men, most of whom were in high school. And they told me their stories. And these are young people that, had they been given a chance, they could have really become something more than living at McLaren, and perhaps ending up at the penitentiary after that. The care that is needed. See that you do not despise one of these little ones. Love them and give them the care that they need. And that's what all of us need to do as Christians, and I'm convinced, and now that I'm reading this gospel in a very literal kind of way, thinking of all the young people from those who are unborn all the way to adulthood who need the care of us adults. And the gospel, it doesn't include these words, but it tells us if we don't, what kind of punishment we can expect. Because it says these little ones have their angels in heaven always looking upon the face of the Heavenly Father. Their guardian angels are sitting at the foot of Jesus, who cares for them. And if we don't take care of them and despise them, it's that it would be better for us to have a millstone placed upon our neck and thrown into the ocean. That's how serious it is if we don't care for these young ones. And that's the gospel today. Yes, let's be aware of our young people, children in particular. Take care of them, give them a future. Hold that thought, and we'll see you tomorrow.